Welcome back to another episode of Pep Talk with Peter Polis. I hope you enjoy the content that's going to be coming your way. If you do enjoy the content, please feel free to subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Pep Talk with Peter Polis. And if you've got questions, want to know more, feel free to always shoot us an email at peptalkwithpeter@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the content.
You are now listening to Pep Talk with Peter Polis.
3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Pep Talk with Peter Polis. Today's a good day. Today is exciting, where for anyone who's been following along our journey over the past 4 years, today is a day that we owe to you, the listener. We owe it to you because you've been here throughout our ups, throughout our downs, and if anyone's been following along on our social media, you know that Brianne and I officially announced, after years and years and years of trying to become parents, no, we're not pregnant, but we have decided to pursue adoption. It's been a long road, and Brianne and I are super excited for what's next, but we owe it to you, the listener, to fill you in. I mean, we've gone through 3 miscarriages. I've cried on stream. I've been angry. You've seen me at my best. You've seen me at my worst. And now we come to you to let you know that it's time. It's time to be a mom. It's time to be a dad. And Brianne and I created an Instagram account. We also created a website and a GoFundMe account. So we've created multiple outlets to keep everyone in the loop as to where we are in the process. And we're being completely transparent as to what we need. Now, it's been 6 months since I put out an episode, and here you are like, Pete, you haven't spoken to us in 6 months, and here you are telling us that you need money? Is that how this works? No, that's not how this works. But I do owe it to you to fill you in on my life. And I will be asking for help, and that's part of the reason for this video. And that's only because I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this journey from day one. Since we went live with our announcement, which was on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, that's when we told our parents, we told my brother, my sister. It was part of Christmas. And on New Year's, we announced on social media. Now, originally, we wanted to wait until right around like January 15th to announce to everyone on social media. But in prepping the website, prepping Instagram, all that fun stuff, by creating the account, we started popping up as one of those suggested people you may know. So we had a bunch of people reaching out to us like, adopting Polis, is this you? What's going on? And it kind of forced our hand a little bit. So we announced a little earlier than we intended to. So that's the good news. That's where we're at. Now, with this adoption process, there's so much that's involved. And that's where you come in. And I say this is where you come in because there's a lot that we need help with. Now, had we been pregnant and conceived naturally and given birth, our insurance would cover that. I mean, that's part of natural birth. Unfortunately, adoption is not covered by insurance. So that's where we're putting aside our pride. We're putting aside my inability to ever ask people for help. I hate asking people for help. But it's time for us to be parents. It's time for us to add to the kingdom of God. It's time for us to hold our child, and all those tears will have been worth it. You know, I'm not saying that I don't miss my kids, Avery, Emery, Isaac. Like, obviously, I wish that they were in our arms today and that they were, 1, 3, and 5 years old. But here we are. we're at a point where it's time to be mom, it's time to be dad, and this is where we come to you. So what I like to do is I like to fill you in as to how we got here, right? Like, Pete, you haven't put out an episode in 6 months. A lot's changed for me. A lot's changed for you, no doubt, especially with everything that's going on with COVID. But since we announced, we've had so many people reach out to us and like, how did this happen? Like, what made you decide? What was the deciding factor? Like, fill us in on the who, what, where, when, why. And that's kind of what I'd like to do now. So Brianne and I, we were on a phone call with Mike and Kate Giraputo, our best friends, up in New York. And we FaceTime as much as we can. I mean, they got 2 kids, so they're busy, and they're starting their they planted a church, which they officially have their own building now. So they're renting out a space from another church, and they're launching their first full-time services on Saturdays starting in February. So anyone in Long Island who's watching this, if you don't have a home, hit up my friend Mike at the Retro Church, and all his information's on my Instagram, so you can check it out there. Anyway, we're on a phone call, and typically we have deep conversations. We figure out like what's going on in each other's lives, and obviously they're always checking in to see how we're doing. Like, any updates on your fertility treatments or this or that, and out of nowhere he just goes, "So, how's your sex life? How's it going?" And it was weird. It was, it was awkward, uncomfortable, but at the same time, that's our friendship. So we knew what they were asking. They're saying, how's it coming along? Any news on whether or not you can get pregnant, or if you are trying still, or if you're just afraid. They really just wanted to know like where we stand. And that right there, that question is what really started this whole process. Because about 6 to 8 months ago, which I didn't tell Brianne, I pretty much came to the realization that I don't think I'm ever gonna become a biological father. Like, I don't think that Brianne is going to carry my child. It was something that was really hard to come to grips with, because I mean, unless we physically can't have kids, I mean, and that's also putting a fact that God can't make us have kids, become pregnant. It was when my dog is snoring in the background. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so it was at that moment where I looked to Brianne, and I said, well, to be honest, I don't think, like, I've come to grips that I don't think I'm ever going to become a dad. And that was a hard thing for me to admit out loud, and I had never told Brianne. Not because, we don't communicate or anything. It's just like, we've been going through this for so long. We've been trying, and month after month we get our negatives and negatives and negatives. And it just kind of becomes a routine. And I kind of just lost hope. I gave up. I accepted the fact that I'm not going to be a dad. What I didn't know is that Brianne had gone out with a bunch of her girlfriends about 2 or 3 nights before this conversation with Mike and Kate. And the entire dinner that they had, they were talking about adoptions. Our friends, the Hillmans, were sharing their adoption story on how they adopted Gloria. And it was kind of just one thing led to another. And they kept asking Brianne, like, what are your plans? Have you considered adoption? Have you considered fostering? And Brianne's made it known for years, probably 2 or 3 years now, that she's always wanted to adopt. She's always had the heart to foster. And I've been the hiccup. I don't want to foster. We've lost 3 kids. I can't imagine bringing kids in and then giving them back. I don't have it in my heart to do it. And that, I'm not saying it in a mean way. It's just I'm not mentally or emotionally or physically prepared to do that. And even adoption, it's not that I don't want to adopt. I just wanted to exhaust all options before we pursued this as an avenue, and I hit that point. So it was kind of like this weird moment where we're talking to Mike and Kate, but at the same time they're kind of witnessing us, like, kind of say, like, yeah, let's do it. So it was a nice, random, divinely appointed conversation that brought us to have a deeper conversation. So after we hung up with Mike and Kate, we kind of looked at each other, and I mean, we prayed, we talked about it, but it really just, we knew that it was time. And to have that moment and that clarity is it's one of the bright spots over the past few years that we immediately and instantly felt hope. I mean, I know that there's a lot that goes into adoption. We have a ton of friends who have adopted and fostered, so we're kind of pretty familiar with the process. And we know it's long, we know it's intense, and we know that it requires a lot of money. Financially, we're now in a position where we can look into additional options. So I can't say that we're going to fund the whole thing, not one bit. But we have a lot of extra funds. Thank God for the job that he blessed me with, and for Bill hiring me. And I'm now in a position where we have more options, and it just all aligned perfectly to us saying, let's do it. Let's go. Let's adopt. It's time. Brianne, you're going to be a mom. I'm going to be a dad. And no disrespect to anyone who's been in the adoption process, but we want a baby, an infant right out of the womb. We want to have that experience of what we've been wanting for 7 years now. And so that was the first decision. So making the decision is the easy part. The hard part is what follows. Once you decide that you want to adopt, there's a lot that goes into it. Now, the first and most important thing is that you finish a home study. The home study is what basically considers the state, the Department of Insurance, and the state of Florida deems me and Brianne adequate to receive a child. In order to be deemed adequate, we got to go through 21 hours of educational courses. We have to have multiple in-person visits and interviews. We've got to do, just 4 football fields worth of paperwork, and a physical, background check, fingerprints, everything, pretty much everything I had to do for both academies is what we have to do to be, considered acceptable. So we're in the process of that now. The only reason we're able to be in that process right now is because over the past 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half, we started asking for money. And we've raised about $8,000 so far. It's about a fifth of the way of where we need to be, but it was enough to get our home study started, which is the most important. We can't even receive or be matched with a child until we've completed this home study. Now, the second outlet is we hired a consultant. Now, typically, whenever there is an adoption, the state cares about the kid and the mom. They don't really care about us. As long as we're approved, we're just kind of a number. We got to present our case to the mother. The mother has to accept us. So their legal fiduciary responsibility is to the child, to the mother, and make sure that a good parent is fit. Now, the consultant that we're talking about, they're working on our behalf. So while we're dealing with the mothers and the agencies, this consultant is going to filter out any mothers who may, or someone who fits the bill of potentially backing out of the adoption after we've already paid the matching fees, because mothers have 24 or 48 hours after the child is born, which is when they waive their rights to the child. So a lot of times, a mom has her kid, and even though she wanted to go through the adoption, now she's holding this precious child, and she goes, I can't do it. So that's what we want to avoid. I've never adopted anyone, and we want to make sure that we're put in a position where all of y'all who have donated your hard-earned money to us, we want to make sure that it's not just going to get lost, that it's not going to get eaten up because we didn't do our due diligence. So the fact that y'all have already provided $8,000, I mean, Brianne and I have been so overwhelmed, and we felt so loved, and it's all a testament to you and everyone who's donated. I mean, you're like, we have hundreds of aunts and uncles because you've helped this happen. And I know for a fact that it's God tugging on your hearts. And anyone who's, been a part of our journey and watched our tears, and we've had so many people that we don't even know reach out and help fund parts of this. And we're blessed. We're thankful. And we literally can't do this without you. And that's where this podcast or this episode is really so important, because I'm putting aside all of my pride. I'm putting aside all my inability to ask for help. And Brianne and I are openly, with open arms, asking for help. And we've had so many people donate already. People that we know and love, people that we barely know, people that we have known our whole lives. And it's I have no words. I don't have any words. It's been an honor. It's been a blessing. And I know for a fact that this is something that God wants. And I didn't hear him say, Peter, you're going to be a dad. I didn't hear him say, this is definitely, what I want for you, but I don't see how it can't be. I don't see how all of these things have lined up so perfectly for it not to be from God. And I know for a fact that Brianne and I are going to raise our child to know and love Jesus. I know for a fact that we are going to raise this child to be loved and to be their own person. And we're excited for this opportunity that you're going to help us get. And I say that in confidence, that I know that it's all just going to work out. And I know, look, $40,000 to $50,000 is so much money. And I'm not downplaying the significance of it. I know it's going to happen. I just do. It's I'm not worried. For someone who always has anxiety, and for someone who thinks about everything a million different ways, God's just put this peace in my heart, and I just know. I know that I'm going to be a dad. One of the cool things, so Brianne's in Pennsylvania right now, and she's on a tubing / skiing trip with her dad, her sister, her nephews, her nieces, and in the middle of Pennsylvania, and it's snowing out there, in the middle of Pennsylvania where they've never been before, in this part of town, the Airbnb that they rented, it just so happens that Brianne's room had 2 pictures in the room. And in both pictures, there was 2 cardinals in one picture and 1 cardinal in the other. And it was just, and that happened today. And to me, that was God's way of saying, yo, your kids are with me. Avery, Emery, Isaac, they're with me. I am loving them. They are fine. And this is just this whole process, this adoption process. This is something that is good. I just think back to Genesis when he creates man, he creates, the world, the earth, and it is good. And I know that this is good. So that's where we're at. We're at the part now, and just to kind of fill you in, we're midway through the home study process. This process takes about 4 to 8 weeks to complete. once it's completed and we're approved, that's when the state deems that we can have a child. Now, at that point, we can get matched with a child for, a parent who's 5 months pregnant, 6 months pregnant, 1 month pregnant, or we can get matched with a child who was born 5 hours ago, or a mother who just went into labor. It can happen that quickly. So if we are approved within the next month or month and a half, that's where it becomes real, because we've hired the consultant, we've hired the home study. Again, all thanks to the donations that you've provided so far. And the biggest, I guess, hurdle or obstacle that we're facing at this moment is once we're approved and once we're matched, all of these companies have a matching fee. So most of the time, this matching fee right off the bat, a huge chunk of change, is anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 that's due up front. If you don't have the money, then sorry, you can't hold this baby. Baby's not going to be yours. So that's the biggest hurdle, is in less than 2 months, there's a possibility that we can be matched with a child. And right now, the leftover of what we have as far as financially is about maybe $2,000 to $3,000 after the home study, after the consultant, and I think it's right around maybe $3,000 that we have. So we've got to get to that $10,000 to $20,000 range, and that's not even all. We got to get to around 30, 40, 50. So that's the biggest hurdle that we have right now. So Pete, why are you telling me this? Well, on top of the donations that everyone has so graciously provided so far, Brianne has set up a Facebook page. I think it's Adopting Polis. I think it's the same name that we have on Instagram. She's setting up an auction. We've had about 40 vendors between Florida and New York that have offered up their products and services. We've had people offering photography sessions or whatever their business is. They're just giving us gift cards and all these different products so that y'all can bid on it in an auction, and all of those proceeds are going to be going towards the adoption fund. And to all the vendors, to all of my family and friends who have offered up some of their goods and services or whatever it is that people are going to be bidding on, again, I'm out of words. The only thing I can say is thank you. Like, you're a part of something that's going to change Brianne and I's life forever. In less than 2 months, we haven't talked in 6 months, so there's a lot that you don't know. I am currently in our new apartment. So we used to be in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we just, back in August, we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. Same exact layout. You're probably like, Pete, nothing looks different. That's because it's the same exact layout. Same floors, same everything. But instead of a closet in the back corner, that closet is now a big second bedroom. Which we're going to be turning into a nursery, soon. It blows my mind that this can be happening so soon. And I know it could take up to a year. It could take 2 years. We have an 18-month contract with this consultant. So a year and a half is what they predict it will take, potentially long term. But we've, so many stories where they get approved, and then, within hours they're being matched, or within days they're being matched. So that's our hope. I know that God is in this, and I know that whenever we are supposed to be matched, we are going to be matched with our forever child. So yeah, just thinking about making this a nursery, there's so much good in this, and I'm just so thankful. And I know I'm kind of rambling right now, but that's because I don't know how to ask. I don't know how to ask for money. I don't know how to ask for help. So I'm just going to do it. Please. If you've already provided some funds and some donations, thank you. If you don't mind please share this video, share our posts, or maybe just like ask, like, hey, our friends, our family members, they're looking to adopt. They've been through some stuff, and would you be willing to help them grow their family? It's a lot for me to ask, and I know, but I do so knowing that God is going to reach who God is going to reach, and I just am thankful for everyone who's decided to be along that process. So that's it. That's the update as of now. We're fundraising like heck. We're doing this auction January 19th to January 23rd. It'll be on Facebook. As I mentioned earlier, we created an Instagram account at Adopting Polis. We also created a website which has our blog, which is keeping everyone up to date. We're being open and transparent about this whole thing. So share it, like it, subscribe to the Instagram account, maybe the Facebook page. Get the word out. I mean, if you can't help us financially, please just share. Share it, and I know God is on the move, and I know He's going to use you to help us. I think that's all I have to say about the adoption. Now, there's a lot of other things that have come up. My brother got married in November. My brother officially has a wife, which is crazy and awesome. And like I said, we moved. As you can tell, I've been growing my hair for the past 8 months, so my hair is as long as it's ever been, which I love. Brianne loves it too. It's kind of in an awkward stage where it looks kind of weird in hats. I got to put this headband in because otherwise I just have a mullet, or I don't know. It can get crazy. So there's been a lot of good things going on in our lives, and I believe this video is going to be one of more to come, because with how much love and support that we've been feeling, we owe it to you during the process to keep you updated, let you know what's going on, but also just to give God glory. God is going to get all the praise through all of this. A little fun fact is this is the third time I've recorded this episode, this message. The first time I got about 20 minutes in and someone called and interrupted the whole process, and then I just kind of lost my way. And the second time, the microphone didn't work. I did the whole thing, 30 minutes long. The microphone didn't work, it cut out. So if you're watching this now, it means that I couldn't, the OCD in me couldn't listen to the other voice, the other volume, and we decided to go with this take. But I just want to personally thank each and every one of you for being a part of this journey. I thank you in advance for helping us find our child. That's it. That's all I got. I'm going to end in prayer because, again, God gets all the glory. Lord, thank you for bringing everyone together. Thank you for making this episode possible. Thank you for helping me become a dad. Thank you for Brianne becoming a mom. This is what we've cried. We've shed so many tears through the years praying for this moment. And it's here. We're in the middle of the process. It's going to happen. When it happens, that is entirely up to you, Lord. I just pray that you put it on our family and friends' hearts to help us through this moment. It sounds super selfish, and maybe it is, but I know that this is for you, Lord. You get the glory. We are going to raise this child to know and love you. And I pray that Brianne and I, in the midst of all this, can just be a reflection of who you are. Lead by example. And we look forward to what you have in store. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for family. Thank you for friends. Thank you for everything. Amen. Thank you for everyone who's stuck around to this point. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. As always, I love you, God loves you, and I will see you next time on Pep Talk with Peter Polis. I'll see you later.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you like what you heard, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And for daily content, you could follow on Instagram at Pep Talk with Peter Polis. And if you have questions or want to know more, make sure you email peptalkwithpeter@gmail.com.